No, like I literally was just done and I hurried up and jumped out. What did you say, Lou?
I don't know if it was genuine or not, but so Monica is defending herself against Eric and Tally right now.
Uh-huh.
Nathan comes off the mic to basically even the score here,
Right.
and he's
What?
defending Monica. He's defending Monica from Tally.
Yeah.
Is Monica being
No.
bullied right now?
I was just backing up Eric's point. I'm not joining in on whatever is happening here.
Well, when you
As
talk
per
about
most,
being a victim,
I was just so I should not participate in
I don't think
where I
Monica's
can
being
find
bullied right now, no.
where I can find this
Who against
information.
what?
Because you being hyperbolic. It was not. You know what? Never mind. I'm still waiting for the rankings about the recordings and shit. Like, that was the whole garbage of it all.
If there's 1,000 people that you ask the same question and they give you the same result about yourself, and they all come from different backgrounds, different areas, right? Different languages, different political ideologies, and they all come to the same conclusion. Are you the problem or are they the problem?
I mean, we're talking about two people who that holds true for.
I'm asking you.
But
It don't matter. It doesn't have to be a direct
What about
reference.
all
Just
those
in
people
general.
from
In
all
that
those different
situation,
backgrounds?
who would be wrong?
What if all those people from all those different backgrounds were their opinion of an individual was given to them by somebody that already hates them?
No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the opinions have been individually formulated, like from each instance that they've had with this person. Like the people don't know each other.
Sorry, I was distracted.
I would naturally say that.
Look, I mean, if all he's saying is that we all have the same experience of Brad because we all know Brad from the same medium, which is Clubhouse, then he's onto something. But like if any of us were able to attest for a version of Brad that Monica is asserting essentially doesn't exist, if anybody can bear witness to this, that's all we're getting at here.
And all I was saying was, at best or worse, it's 5 versus 5. Okay, it's Spider-Man pointing at Spider-Man. That's all.
The point I'm trying to make is
That's what I'm saying.
If you walk around in your neighborhood and the whole neighborhood telling you your ass stink, but you keep saying, no, I washed it yesterday. But even though that they keep saying that, you think that your ass stink or
yesterday was
So if your ass is still stinking after you bathe, it's probably a cyst. You may need to go sleep.
That's what I'm saying.
I learned from a black person you're supposed to use a washcloth.
Or you just keep on going saying, nah, my ass don't stink.
Yeah.
I would like to petition against the DEI laughs that are occurring to you.
I would say,
definitely a
I
DEI.
would say,
Hold on, like, when you check that box, are you a protected veteran? That's why you're here.
I would say this.
I'm the knee slapper.
I'm gonna say this. Damn, dang. This made me forget what I was going to.
I'm so
Okay.
sorry.
All right, look. It's all right. I think what we have here is Florida. I'm the outside guy looking in. This is a white on white crime.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Okay.
All that.
Okay. Yeah. So what I'm seeing is, from my perspective, is earlier. I don't know if it was today or yesterday. These days kind of run together. Well, Brad was like going in on Florida, possibly hurt Florida's feelings. Called them all kind of crackheads, called them a crack whore, and now that Brad is being accused by Monica, which also Florida is kind of neutral about. He's not really necessarily on Florida's side, but for the sake of attacking Brad.
observation, Plato. You want? Are you blind to like the previous 72 hours course of events in these rooms? Like I've also had to fight Brad over the last 3 days myself, Lion. So he's also made atrociously false claims against me, been called out on it, and he's getting called out by Monica now. Just
Okay, so Lion, then does my case rest that Florida? Have we all like reached that conclusion? Is he guilty?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Guilty of what? Guilty of what?
Being a simp.
Oh,
Yeah. Florida, you are still.
Florida, you are gunning over yourself.
You know what the fucked up part is, bro?
I know what you were
Before he
talking
had
about.
left, when he was first here, bro, he used to be a cool guy, but then he came back, bro, and I don't know, like, somebody that had to, like, rape this guy or something, I don't know.
Oh my
Like,
God.
that shit,
How,
like a whole bona fide, like, asshole. Like,
how are you guys defining simp as it pertains to Florida? I'm not understanding the application of simp here.
Inconsistency, trying to win lady points, every chance certain guys do it. Dominic does it sometimes, Willie definitely does it, Florida does it.
Oh my God, like you're still talking. That's crazy.
And Incan does it sometimes. And it's not, and I don't want you to, I don't want you to.
Wagwan, everyone. Wagwan.
Galaxy, hold on. I don't want you to try to get the idea. I want you to get a full understanding of what's being stated. So, most of the time, the guys are neutral until the woman comes off the mic and gives her perspective on the subject. Then they come off the mic and agree and find some way to try to rationalize to the side of the woman. Even when the woman's position has absolutely 0.000 reasoning. It makes absolutely
but then you've got like guys like fucking Samoa willing to like try to back up some dumb shit that Forth says because dumbass Forth has no idea what he's saying. He'll say something completely out of the blue, and then Samoa want to agree with it, and then like try to back him up. Yeah, same deal on
that's not what we're gonna do.
Okay, so I just
Don't
understand
try to
what
discredit my man's intelligence while he's not here. It's real retarded.
Forth is right here.
Well, I do want to say just really
Fourth is
quickly,
right below me.
I'm so proud of you,
You're
Nathan.
definitely 2 points below.
While I did dog walk you in Domino's again, at least you tugged on the collar a little bit while I was walking you. Now I see you fighting back with knowledge, and no matter how this game ends, brother, you fight. Good game.
See how of an asshole Florida is, man. This man is literally trying to like criticize somebody that's not even in the room to make himself feel better. Like, that's crazy.
Yo, if you've got a thing with me, if you've got a thing with me in order to try to like get Brad out from the trap that he's in, that's fine. We can go that route, but you're gonna need to start making some legitimate.
I'm not trying to rescue Brad. Brad is his own man, bro. He don't need my help. I ain't saying Brad does say some unhinged shit sometimes, bro, but all I'm saying is you guys is like attacking this guy for no reason.
Can I just say one thing?
I was right.
No. See, that's just a dishonest answer from a dishonest man. And considering you're like talking to another grown man, Eric, I find it really weird that some of the men that call me simps are willing to simp for another grown man. Literally put Brad's taint in their mouth while they sniff his balls and defend him. And say absolutely bullshit nonsense to try to stay consistent when they're just actual.
I would ask that we take
I'd rather simp for a woman any day.
I would ask that we take simp out of the descriptor because, like, it doesn't seem to apply with either of the accused. I'm doing that. You did that.
I also want to throw out there. I noticed that Florida used the exact same words as Brad used as an insult against him. He used the word licking tanks and shit like that. That's what Brad said about what he was gonna do to
No, it was my father because he's a fag.
Yeah, okay, well, you remember
Okay,
that.
bitch made boy. So we can do
That was
this.
like 10 hours ago.
Yeah, I come up with new content. Like, if like, mimicking is like the best form of flattery. I get it. You want to be like me. I'm sorry, your testicles haven't dropped from your vagina.
Who would
So,
ever?
again,
Alright,
I'm speaking now.
Stop flattering yourself,
Shut the
Brad.
fuck
You got
up.
two
Shut the fuck up.
fucking daughters that are supporting your ass while you're living off of the government's
Again, I
cheap
told you.
VA, hospital care, Medicare, fucking housing benefits. You got SNAP. You don't have a fucking job. You've been evicted from a fucking apartment. Just fucking shut up.
Happy ending out of it. If you can get a happy ending from your daddy, I'm sorry.
Not the government, bro.
Why are you always inferring that our parents molested us? Why do you do that, Brad? Why?
Brad, are you asserting that you've not? Wait, Brad, are you asserting that you've not been evicted from a apartment?
Disgusting.
Okay, I'll just let these two. So I'm gonna give two really great options.
Because I've got receipts.
One, the motherfuckers that are upset are the ones that got packed the fuck up for their stupid shit in this room that stated it. Notice they're all the white people. Notice that they're the white obese fuckers that got booted out of every other fucking space that have no credibility. Nothing was
Come up with some new content, Brad. This is the same dumb shit you've said every single time you and I get into a meeting. I've actually got receipts that you've been evicted from an apartment within the last 5 years. Why don't you shut the fuck up?
You don't have it.
That'll be doctrine.
Exactly, on a live or
Oh, would it be doxing or would it be fucking, what do you guys call it, crashing out with facts?
Nah, bro. That's
Now,
not
what is
Nah, docs said, wait. How was wait? Tell me what was the docs?
No, I said he's on the line because he said he's about to.
Oh, okay, so he didn't dox them then.
What's he talking about?
We were warning
Brad,
that
you know you've been evicted.
So, hey, hold on, Nathan. Wait, hold on, Ray, hold on. Nathan, we were warning you
Y'all
that
are wild,
doxing.
man.
Oh no, okay,
Call it
yeah.
out when you see it.
I didn't hear the docs. That's I came up to line when someone said that's
What's wrong?
doxing. I thought that's
What's
what I
wrong?
heard. But
What's wrong? I'm just fighting with him. We're just doing that thing where people crash out on each other and make claims, some of which are not true, others of which just happen to fucking be true.
So you getting raped by your daddy is true. I got it. You like stalking women and their things is all true.
You got it.
I got you, you're sick. I got you that you can't get laid. I got it that you can't find a fucking woman. I got it that you're a fucking piece of shit that can't do fucking shit at all. I got it that your fucking cunt that you slid out of has no fucking recognition of it. While you sit there and fucking your fat ass.
This is my weapon.
Trying to figure out
Oh my
what
God.
fucking girls can go
This is
through.
for fighting. This is for fun.
Whatever. Again, it's too late for you to be that drunk. And
Yet I restrain myself from actually providing the receipts.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck about what you provide, dude. You don't have anything on me. I don't fucking care what you're going to show. There's
Don't make me pull them out one fucking
Go
day.
ahead, do whatever you're going to do. Go ahead, do it.
Don't do
You
it.
think I fucking care? You think I don't fucking own my shit? You don't know shit all about me. You don't know anything.
You're not owning that eviction. You're not owning that.
There's up a whole lot of people.
Brad,
that fucking
I
come at your ass.
turned 50
I
in July.
promise you,
I will
you're
pay
fucking
you a
pound,
plane
bitch, boy.
ticket and a hotel, and I will fight you in a gym. And I will give my whole 50th birthday fight with you.
Brad,
I
you
will pay
can
for
continue
you.
this talk bullshit. That's fine. Monica's called you out. You've been caught.
Monica has
With
done
your dick in your hand. It's all good.
No one's done
You'll
shit.
jerk off
First
tonight,
off, Doc Tuesday goes after KK, says I'm gonna rape her. So I tell him, you know what, Doc? You're too drunk, you're too stupid, and you're too fucking vile. So you know what? Better off ending your life. Great. I don't really fucking care what this fucker does. You're upset by it because you're a fucking pussy. You're born a pussy, you'll always be a pussy. You aren't a man, and that's why you can't have a fucking woman. That's why you can't even find a gay man to be with you. That's fucking weak. You are weak. Now, you want to go with Coke. You're going to sit there and say, now, let me play in her udders and go for it.
I've never met anybody on this app, but I'm literally going hotel and fight you. I will fight you. I will put you in a hotel. You wanna run your pothole in real life? Let's run your cocksucker in my face.
Especially when he's just
Let's run your face. I'm 155 pounds, I'm 5'10".
He gets banged
Let's
up.
go. Let's go, bro. I will literally buy you
Doc, can you
my
fuck your
birthday
way out
gift.
of your trailer park?
Yeah, Doc, who the fuck is talking to you? Shut up. This is me and Brad right now. Shut up.
Man, suck a dick, you faggot.
Mind your own business. Pick a fight with someone else in like 30 minutes.
Go wear your pink outfit and go try to play golf and suck at it.
Gentlemen, as you can see, the white crime is at a high.
It's reached a new low.
As we sit and we acknowledge that we
It's reached a new low.
the white boy in his natural habitat, as he goes forth and back and forth and back and forth,
Beating on his chest.
and beating his chest, and how he's going to do this and that. It is an interesting experience. Just sit back and enjoy.
All the
That's
while,
exactly how we
Flinging
felt
fluid,
about
not knowing how to
Clubhouse,
use-
like in the black and the black spaces that we were walking into. You have no.
Wow. So yeah, you just gonna put that out?
Yeah, I'm just throwing that out. Facts, right?
Nah, you right. You got it.
It is actually mating season, so I can kind of expect that. You should see a lot of fighting, chest bumping.
These two aren't getting laid. I mean, do you know a single woman that would actually go with fucking Doc? Like, I mean, I can't even imagine a hooker going with him.
Not one that's alive, no.
No, that's why.
Definitely not.
That's why.
And then you got Florida, who's like a gang.
It's funny, Nathan actually thinks that Pocket is the reason why you're pissed off with me, Brad. Are you jealous that Pocket was flirting with me? Are you jealous that Pocket was flirting with me? Or is it actually the Melissa
thing?
thing?
He got smart and then realized, like, oh, fuck, I don't want to be around this She got smart. It's the same way you tried to play it the same way you tried it with Melissa. The same way all of these women go and reject your ass.
Wait, when they were in the room, though, did you call on them as an alibi, Brad? Have you ever once called on any of these fucking women as an alibi? Because if you feel so fucking strong about this, just...
So wait, you're with Pockets right now. You're saying you...
No, I'm not with Pockets right now, Brad.
Thank you. Rejected. One answer. How about Tally when you were sucking up to Tally trying to get so good? Oh, all that.
Kelly, have I ever tried to suck up to
Did
you?
Tally give you any time of day?
Don't get no.
No.
See, this is where people
And
need to
how
start being
about
honest.
any other
Look, he starts calling other people into it, speaking falsities about them
Did
too.
they ever go with you? No. Rejected.
That's all right.
Again,
I'll be
rejected,
the. I'll
boy.
speak for Tally. I'll sit for Tally.
You got rejected, and you continue to like fucking act like you're some fucking King Kong motherfucker when
You
really
think you're the King
fucking
Kong
idol from
motherfucker,
the fucking
dog.
American
You
hell.
think you're the
a
King
little
Kong
fuck.
motherfucker, and then you get called out for talking about bullshit, making up facts.
You got no bullshit. You have nothing.
Just
You have nothing.
outright
You haven't won a debate. You haven't made
ridiculous arguments and dumb rhetoric sometimes. When you try to act smart, the smarter you try to sound, the dumber you do. So there's that. I don't know, man. There's a lot to say about you. Like I said, you've been evicted, and we know that there's been claims made about you that you say have been made about me, but I don't know one person that you could bring to it. Kelly, have I ever tried to suck up to you? Leave me the fuck alone, or I'll leave you the fuck alone. You're finding. You're in my town?
Yeah.
What town is that, Brad?
Houston, buddy.
Don't worry about it.
That I didn't want to do it. I promise. I put everything on it.
Get that damn shit in the chat.
He want to slap him around, but I had to.
Damn.
It happened.
Wow, brother against brother.
I didn't want to do it. It happened. I said my hands are bloody. My hands are covered in blood. But
Just to make it better later.
So now, what I don't know maybe is how you know how to check your back channel messages on Sunday, but how yesterday and today you didn't. And how also when I'm putting in the Discord, y'all, this is too much. It gets ignored until today.
Because I told them you wrote the Discord.
Yeah.
They don't look in the Discord. I'll be honest with you there. They have their notifications turned off.
I
had to tell them
would if every 5 seconds Monica's complaining about something.
I had to tell them
I always
wrote
listen
the
to
Discord.
Monica's
So if they saw it,
specifically.
if they saw it today, that's why, because I said you wrote the Discord.
Thanks,
They
Linda.
never have their notifications on.
Can I share my naked photo in Discord?
No, thank you. No.
Man with the naked photo.
No, thank you.
No. Cut him the fuck out. Move him down. Kick him out the way I do my nigga Jacobus.
I gotta get this.
Do my nigga Jacobus, right?
Oh, he got moved down. He got moved down.
Don't just say no thank you. Don't just say no thank you.
2 for Spain.
Okay. No, Monica. We gotta get this thing figured out.
Well, why don't you figure that shit out?
Nah, I want to hear a whole lecture. I want to hear a whole lecture on how people are being sexually harassed in the room. Let's do that.
Okay,
Let's do what we do. Let's do what we do to Jacobus.
I'm talking. Okay, Han.
Shut up or eat some fucking
I kicked him out of the room.
Han.
Oh, shit.
He got kicked.
I'm so
No,
sorry.
he's still sitting there.
That.
He's
Okay,
still
so-
sitting there.
Okay.
You motherfucking Polynesian, go eat a fucking can of spam and leave me.
Okay, so, Hans, I know that you're not a regular. Okay.
I'm talking
John.
to Samoa.
She called that nigga a Polynesian ass. Like he Chick-fil-A for Polynesian.
Fucking Chick-fil-A.
She was talking about my kids, cuz.
I still fuck with you, Samoa, but you be getting on my nerve.
Nigga, you had to talking all day though, just saying.
That's a fact. And yelling too. Nah, Monica. Let's play this up.
Samoa, you talk every day, all day, so you can't say nothing.
Oh, don't run away. Don't run away.
I'm getting pretty tired.
Yeah, they were talking
so-
shit about you
Nah.
earlier, bro.
Nah. We gotta get this figured out. Why did you have to jump the gun?
I didn't jump the gun.
Yes, you did.
No, this has been a long time coming.
No, it hasn't. You let Brad
1 for Spain.
break up the situation with you and Chilla.
It wasn't Brad. I don't know how many
No,
times
it
I have
wasn't.
to tell you. It was you.
You said just a little while ago, now you know why I'm here.
Well,
That's
I'm
what you
sick
said
of the
about Brad
trials too. It's a multivariate problem.
Monica,
And
this
I
ain't
found
like
the
it's
solution.
this ain't like it was a you thing. Instead of you address me about your you thing, you put all of it on me. That's unfair, that's abusive.
Because I left because of you. Are you ready to hear why? I've told you
I've
twice.
been waiting. Tell me.
So after being harassed, after being bullied by bias mods, after being like the most disgusting things, has your dad stopped touching you yet, Monica?
That's Brad.
After hours of that, enduring that, I hear from Nathan, Brad, you and Monica ruined the room.
I told you.
You said I ruined the room? I ruined the room. When I've worked for a year and a half, I'm not done. I don't know why you wanted me to talk and then you're going to talk over me.
Because you said this and you didn't address what I said. I responded to this
Let
already.
her get it out. Let her get it
Okay,
out.
I'll let her get it out again.
Let her get it out.
She already said this though. And I responded to this.
That nigga said again.
Go ahead, Monica. Tell me it again. Tell me how
Go, Monica.
he's saying that you and Brad ruined the room, upset you.
I'm here for a select few of you. I tolerate the fuck shit because of you. And then you're gonna tell me that I ruined the room? I ruined the room?
I
Are
responded.
you a moron?
Monica,
Are you a
Monica,
fucking idiot?
Monica, did you hear my response?
You felt betrayed, that I was disrespecting you, that your attempts at moderation were failing because I kept interrupting and
Yes.
talking out the Brad.
Listen to this. There's already a reputation in this room, in this house, that you are the one person that does not get monitored. Everyone, for some reason, forgets that, when they're getting abused, that the moderation is unfair, but they forget they forget that when the moderation is on their side, people don't think that they are getting unfairly moderated, because people say that numerous of times. Monica always get away with everything. Have you ever heard that shows of Monica? That Nathan allows Monica to get away with everything. Have you ever heard that before?
Because you don't make me a moderator.
Be honest,
Don't make me a moderator.
No, that's not what I asked you. Have you heard that people say that Nathan allows Monica to get away with everything?
Can we restart the spades game? Florida got tossed out.
See that, Monica? Yeah, you know what it is? There's a new dude out there, right? Who is it?
FYI, me and Nathan is the motherfucking spades dream team. None of y'all
Monica, you gotta be honest, Monica. You're not being honest.
There's someone else. It can't be this, Monica. There's someone else out there. Who else you found? Let me go, Dan.
Tell him, Monica. Tell him the truth. Tell him who you found.
Tell him what, Nate. What?
Tell him the truth. Tell him who you found.
Tell him who his replacement is.
What do you mean?
Tell him.
That's what happened, man. You found someone better? That's what it is? You already moved on, Monica?
No.
Dog, bro.
No. I resent the unequal application of the rules.
Monica, people say that I'm unfair when Monica, you missing that part. Why are you missing that? That's one of the most key things. Everyone says it, Monica. How could you have it both ways? You got me as a moderator, and you don't have me as a moderator? That's a contradiction. You can't say the bronze are unfair when I'm always on your side.
But you're not. You allow people, and it's not just me. You allow people
Monica,
to be abusing
when Charlie and Eric was going after you just now, who was the only person who stuck up for you?
Nathan.
You see that? They always forget the hand that feeds them. Sorry, bro.
When I'm back channeling you and I'm telling you, hey, you're not applying the rules to Brad. Yesterday, when Brad was harassing me and it was not consensual banging, nobody moved him down. In fact, I kept on trying to moderate and grabbing her popcorn. No, it didn't happen.
Pay attention to
Monica.
Like we didn't right.
No, Monica, listen to me.
Is out. I'm playing against the computer. I'm playing with the computer.
Monica, listen to me.
I opened the other table, you know?
Yeah, yesterday when you...
Who else over there?
Brad was yelling at you. I was trying to moderate, Monica. You kept... You know what pissed me off the most?
Play with Nathan podcast.
This is what you did. You said this. Brad, if you keep this up, you're going to make me get a mod. And I was like, hold up.
Yeah, that's what happens when Brad's really abusive to
No, Monica.
Now he's feeling sorry for me, and he gives me the moderator badge.
I noticed
it's happened a dozen times.
To be fair, I noticed this. When you do this, it'll actually be happening, right? Like, say Tally starts mod abusing. Sorry, Tally. Tally will start mod abusing you, and you'll complain, and you automatically get a mod. It's almost like it's been a decided thing that if you cry,
that happens to Brad too.
That if you cry, that you're getting mod abused, and like I said, it is actually happening sometimes, right? So So
It's happening all the time, she will.
Yes, Monica, but you will automatically get a mod when you say that you're being mod abused, and it'll actually be happening a lot of the times, right?
All of the time. I don't start these wars.
Monica, I can't cry. I cannot. And many people in this room can't just start being like, "Oh, I'm getting my." Okay, Matt was mod abusing the other day, and he was threatening to kick me out of the room for not doing nothing. I couldn't be like, Nate, Matt's threatening to mod abuse me. Can you please moderate me? Can I give a badge? I don't get that privilege, Monica. That's all I'm saying.
Well, you know how we solved this?
Well, Brad gets that privilege too.
Don't give me the badge.
Stupid, which I'm leaning more that way, or you're a hypocrite. So which one is it?
Neither.
It's impossible. How can you say? You just said
he collapsed lungs, broke his back.
That's terrible.
Yeah, bro. Like to this day, he moved to Vegas, so like prescription basically. They were like, you need to be low humidity.
If it was anything close to the total, you're not going to be able to do anything like that without doing a huge underestimate. So
guys, here's my conceptual analysis of a genocide, and this is like a bit out of my ass. This is last time I it's a flat analysis of it. Here's what
was that thought complete though? From Ethan,
what?
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but was that thought complete, Ethan? Because it seemed like you just paused, or was that the full stop?
Oh yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Alright,
so here's things that I consider as like relevant to whether it's genocide or not. So one is of course the proportion killed of civilians to the military. That's why I mentioned that number. But then I also care about the total amount of people killed. I also care a lot about whether military targets were aimed at, as in they were like trying to kill military targets. I care about if one party surrendered, what would happen. Like, so that counterfactual matters to me. Like the Jews couldn't have surrendered to the Nazis, the Rwandans the Tutsis couldn't have surrendered to the Hutus. Okay. Then I also care about the justification of the conflict, as in like why there's a conflict at all, and I also care about the mens rea, as in like what are the intentions of the people? Do they like want to? So like these are the things that are relevant to me, and I don't know how to weight them all, but they are all like things that I consider. I think the two things I care the most about are number of people killed, proportion of military to civilians, and then also the like mens rea thing. I think those are like the three things that I care about.
I don't think as much about number of people killed or the ratio, because I feel like I could easily have a genocide.
Hey, Master, when y'all gonna stop this charade?
Welcome back to another episode of Low IQ Dumb People talking about nothing, wasting all that fucking time in that chillism house. It ain't a philosophy.
We enjoyed it.
Because we got $1 billion account.
Why are you trying to take the total away from us?
What are we gonna
Listen,
play with?
the way of carrying Monica around is like always my fault too.
Nobody.
I'm beating up. I can't take this around like everyone. Oh, Nation, you a C-word. Oh, Nation, do this. You always keeping blah, blah, blah. You know what this girl say? I don't even, what's that black girl who used to come into the room? Who used to always talk about white people? Even Adrian. Me and Adrian went back and forth too. Because I just don't get it, Adrian. Why you go?
Nick, you're running your suck muscles, but you can't play safe?
Yo.
No, Monica, you come up here, bro. You come up here, Monica. You don't do that. You know what? Let me go kick this one.
Yeah, man. You ain't saying but I want to say some more, bro. When you weren't here, it was talking mad shit about you, bro. I tried to defend you. What?
Context of a highly effective military campaign.
Yeah, I understand. That's true, but I will say that it's some evidence because if you're mostly killing soldiers, then that's probably what you were trying to do. It's probably what you were trying to mostly accomplish. It's evidence. It's like evidence for the mens rea thing.
Right, but just in this case, the ways we can infer evidence, the way we can infer intent is much more direct. But just even using something like what you're talking about there, you know, if we were just looking at the number of hospitals and the number of civilian installations that have been leveled, where it seems like they're basically just being systematically targeted for bombing all the critical infrastructure in Gaza. So it seems like you're going after civilian assets with the intention of making the place unlivable. Because it's just not plausible that, you know, like 70% of the residential buildings are military assets.
9% of all homes have been destroyed and damaged. But did you read the Lavender? Did you read the 972 article on the Lavender?
The one you sent me, Jose?
Yeah. The AI targeting machine.
I think what I did was I had just de-summarized it, and then I had
it's not that long.
And the basic idea with that,
I had like steal many arguments for and against it. I think what I did.
I don't think Sam reads anything directly. I think he just PDF uploads to ChatGPT these days. But the Lavender thing,
Fire home.
Yeah.
Personally,
Change your batteries. He was just about to cook.
That the level of
It's too bad he was cooking. That's why. Yeah, that's the point.
I know Sam just only reads things on ChatGPT. I don't think he ever reads things directly. Actually.
Yeah, can you just like get the voice box for ChatGPT and we'll just talk straight to Chat?
Yeah, that might be good. Can we talk to ChatGPT advanced voice mode instead? But
you guys realize that I use it strategically. It's like, oh, we have like an empirical thing.
No, I know. He sent you like a short news article, and you had to feed it to ChatGPT.
Sam, if you have to mute these people, move down.
But wait, is the Lavender situation is like the AI targeting system with like the 10% false positive rate or whatever?
Yeah, and then but they were attributing absolutely insane kind of collateral limits, so almost close to 20.
For religious-minded people, this Congressman, practical advice.
I just want to say, Sam,
just because I like whether or not you completely corroborate, or not necessarily corroborate, sorry, I should say, but it offers evidence to support the account of genocide that Ethan offered. So if you grant that, then that definitely is evidence in support of it being a genocide son.
Well, I mean, it makes perfect sense if you're going through and you're just looking at what the Israeli policy has been historically, or just anytime you have some of these more demographic genocides, or just if your policy, just to quote, the former Israeli prime minister, if the policy is maximum Jews, minimum Arabs, then it makes sense.
So I think there's a question of I think what's going on in Gaza isn't good, as in they are punishing them collectively for October 7th, and there's a lot of ethnic hatred that's being just there's a lot of indifference and fuck these people and we're gonna just wreak havoc. But I don't think that the goal of the main decision makers is let's kill as many as we can, because our goal is to just destroy them and to make just kill as many as possible. I think that's just not what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you there.
Yeah, but destroying the infrastructure, right? That is wiping Gaza clean.
Well, no, I think there's two different things. Where first is collective punishment plus mass killing of members of an ethnic group. If you believe those two things in tandem, I think that would be sufficient for me to call it a genocide. Where if you're collectively punishing them because they're members of this ethnic group, and then you're basically killing large numbers of them, it doesn't matter if you have intent to eradicate. Under the Genocide Convention, it's in whole or in part. And I think that issue, that issue of just if you're killing large numbers of the members of the ethnic group, even if you know that you have to operate within certain constraints. Obviously Israel knows that if it kills, 2 million Arabs, that's a completely different thing from a U.S. backlash, international community backlash perspective.
Right.
So it has to operate within constraints.
So I'll say not at all. Part of it is also a thing where I want genocide to be this thing that when it happens, the whole world uses military might.
Holocaust.
So that's part of why and I also I feel this way generally limits the more extreme cases, so that way we can like actually like focus our attention on like really stopping the actual really bad ones.
Okay, well, so maybe we can use the informal term genocide that way. But what about like the crime of genocide under international law, like the genocide convention?
How about Kelly when you were sucking up to Kelly trying to get
social analysis of the concepts we care about? But
philosophers should basically supersede the jurists in being able to determine what necessarily should be what crime should be prevented on.
No, but I agree with you. The crime of genocide under international law doesn't perfectly track our intuitions about genocide.
That's true.
Presumably it contributes somewhat to the concept we have of genocide, given that like it's the thing,
Well, it totally justifies. Like it makes it to where a person is completely justified in saying Israel is committing genocide, right? There's a clear sense in which that's true if they're guilty of the crime of genocide under international law.
No, but like,
someone is trespassing. If you're guilty of the crime of trespassing, that's enough to justify my claim.
No, I agree, but my point was something like, just like, what informs the characterization of like the the horrors that befell the Tutsis the convention on the punishment.
And it's in part that the Jews are not perpetrators.
That helps. One thing that very much matters to me is that I don't want the war in Japan in World War II to be called a genocide, because I think that war had huge amounts of indifference to the suffering of Japanese civilians. I think insane amounts of Japanese civilians were killed. We literally nuked cities full of civilians. And
that's got to be a genocide, right?
So like, there's a sense in which like it's very analogous where Pearl Harbor and October 7th are like about as equivalently bad as each other, or like it's in the same ballpark.
I would say that it's an attack on a military base, and we were blockading them.
Then America decided to go and just kill, I think in the millions of Japanese people, many of them civilians, in order to topple a government that we saw as being like evil. Like we saw the sort of Japanese imperial government as evil. In order to give it a new government, because we thought that like having a more like Western friendly Japanese government was like a legitimate political. Makes sense. I don't know how you feel about in other rooms, but in my rooms, just no interruptions. Is how it works. Okay, so and then we decided, hey, we want to change the government of Imperial Japan because we think it's evil, and then we did that, and then we did change the government and made them more peaceful towards the West. So like, I think that's Israel's trying to do a similar thing there, and I think that we should think about the cases similarly. If we want to call this a genocide, then we should call the war in Japan a genocide. But then I don't think most people would say that war was like horrible genocide.
Also, don't forget, we straight up America had internment camps. We didn't trust the Japanese Americans.
Yeah.
Do you think would it be too unaesthetic to refer to that as a Japanese Holocaust?
I
think that's pretty accurate, maybe.
Calling what we did in World War II a genocide is just like kind of ridiculous, given how evil like Japan was and what they wanted to do and like what they were doing to China,
right?
And like they were like, and you see like Unit 731 or whatever the fuck it was called, I forget what the actual numbers, and like they were like an actually evil empire with evil intents. Now I think Hamas is an evil government with evil intents, though they are less powerful than Japan. But I think a similar case can be made for like the evilness of their aspiration.
Yeah, and then Amalekites were evil.
Okay, when I look at like Gaza and like try to be sympathetic to it, I look a lot at like the Warsaw Ghetto uprising, right? It was a similar kind of a response with full-on military and like tanks shelling the fucking place. Like we can look at it as the evil empire of Japan, but we should be able to see how it looks a lot like the Warsaw Ghetto uprising as well.
It's strange, like this.
So this goes back to the sort of mens rea, and like, did the people doing the Warsaw uprising want to kill all Germans? No. Do you want the Japanese want Yes.
But I think so. Moving away from Japan and hopefully further away from India and Pakistan, which I know is like probably on the cards for this discussion. But like, when you say it's like, so what basically, you know, what would be the result of a full circle from the genocide? And whether or not, like, if it were to be the case that by the potential genocidaires, then, you know, that wouldn't constitute genocide by your lights, right?
Yeah, so if Hamas surrendered completely, and then Israel kept doing it, I would just have no qualms or whatever.
I forget the name of the ex-Israeli, I don't know, like cabinet member or something that referred to it as but like, if I was to remain faithful.
कुछ लोग तो मेरी वीडियो को ऐसे झांक के भाग जाते हैं कि जैसे पुराने जमाने में बहुएं अपने जेठ को देख के भाग जाती थी। कुछ लोग तो मेरी वीडियो को ऐसे झांक के भाग जाते हैं कि जैसे पुराने जमाने में बहुएं अपने जेठ।
And the reason why they do this again, are you saying that the people are gonna like die of like?
Yeah, but let's say they actually
are they dying of typhoid at the same rates as they were?
But let's make it more accurate, right? I don't know. Let's say it's like significantly reduced, but it's still like an issue or something, right? I don't know. I'm not familiar with the figures, but let's just say actually what they did is they negotiated with some kind of like, you know, some council of interned Jewish people, you know, Jewish people, and like they served as the representatives for all Jewish people who are currently the victims of the Holocaust, and basically they attempted to negotiate with them, and what the Nazis proposed was, you know, we'll end this genocide and keep you in the camps, and the Jews rejected it, so it continued, and the story played out how we know it. Okay, do you think now it's no longer a genocide because they could have surrendered and remained in the concentration camps but wouldn't have been killed at the same rate? Do you think it's like fair to say that therefore it's no longer a genocide?
Sorry, he would talk to the Jews and try to get them to stop with their rejection of
Timothy, how many if the Jews surrender and stay in the camps, can you just put a number on how many will get killed by just the living conditions of the camp?
I don't know.
So I get a sense of what you're talking about.
Enough to
like 100K will die, 1 million will die.
Like the birth rates increase.
And what do you think the rate was prior? Like,
it diminished by 6 million.
No, so what do you think the rate was? So prior to this prior to this ahistorical ceasefire, what do you think the number was? Let's say weekly or monthly or something.
Well, I have no idea.
Let's say it's reduced by 70%. Let's just say it's reduced by 70%.
Okay. The death rate is reduced by 70%?
Something like that. Or even more
okay, but then you're saying that it's still shrinking.
And we're also gonna need precise quantitative estimates. We're gonna want to break down by category of death.
No, the answer it's pretty straightforward. If the Germans,
how many of them have like fashioned weapons and so on, therefore were like combatants?
And I also want to hear like detailed personal biographies for each victim.
You want to hear about my great grandfather Hugo?
Yeah, let's hear about that. And could you cry while you tell the story?
Sure. He served for the Germans in World War I. They threw him on the back of a truck. He wasn't able to get out. His family dispersed and ended up in America. Now, in terms of the camps, if the Germans had merely dispossessed all of the Jews, rounded them up, put them into camps, and had not constructed death camps to specifically cull the herd.
And falsify it.
One second, Timothy.
Timothy, no interruptions.
Yeah.
No my rule.
No, I know, but like rather than like making more elaborate the analogy, I just like, can you try?
I'm being straightforward and.
No, I know what you're doing. I'm saying I asked Sam a question initially.
All right, I'll answer your question.
You're asking like another hypothetical, and I'm happy.
I will answer your question. If they surrendered and the camps and the amount of people that died in the camps was like 80 to 100K or something like that, I would not call that a genocide. If it got to like 500,000 to 1 million, I would then start calling it a genocide. And yeah, that's around my intuition.
But you understand the scenario. The scenario is whatever you consider. So there is an accurate history leading up to some arbitrary junction mid so just mid-Holocaust. And at that point, the Germans allowed the Jews to assemble a council to represent themselves. And what the Germans are proposing is that, the genocide will stop. So we agree it's a genocide up until this point. The genocide will stop, but you will remain in these camps.
I want to live for you. My toes turned out
I'm trying to make a point here.
My toes turned out pretty today. My hubby told me to go get a pedicure, so me and my baby went and got our toes done.
I was just sitting here at 10 o'clock at night, hanging out in my living room. It's nice and quiet. And I was thinking to myself, I wonder what Ashley's toes look like right now.
No, you think that.
Why did you say it like that? Oh my god.
No, seriously, crosses my mind like 3 times a week. I'm just like, wonder when the last time she got them things deep.
Oh no, it had been like 3 years since I had a pedicure, but he told me, go get your toes done.
Oh,
girl, you know what, don't do that.
He started finding all the holes in the bed sheets. He was like, bitch, go get
No, I do them myself. Obviously, I do them myself, but like, to actually go somewhere and get a pedicure.
Discolored toenails, kind of brown and green.
No, they're pink. I got them done.
Lord, I'm sorry. She-Wolf, Marquise, I want to run it.
Man, I just.
Where's Marquise?
I could just say run it back.
Yeah.
Marquise?
Yeah.
Oh, he's not in here.
I'm sorry.
That's a dog whistle for I have black friends. That's what she's doing.
Still
Monica, let me
don't
know
come
if
for
he
me.
comes in. I'll jump.
She's already been fighting
Never
everybody
would,
else.
even if I
If
tried.
somebody jumps in, Monica, I'll come in. Let me know.
She's been whooping white niggas' ass all day long. You want to be next? Still going.
Lady, you have time to play?
You know,
Two things.
I don't king shame, but that's not really my style, so hard to.
What up, Chris?
Stilgar, you may be black from the waist down, but you're stupid from the waist up, and I'm sick of you too.
Thank you, Monica. I love you too.
No, you don't. You don't care about me at all. Just be honest. It's fine. You don't have to. It's no big deal.
The idea that you're telling me to be honest is hilarious.
I'm extremely honest. I don't know where you think I've lied to you.
No, wasn't challenging your honesty. Calm your praise. Calm yourself.
Yeah.
I was finding it hilarious that you think that I could do anything other than my genuine opinion.
Alright, well that's fair.
Do you think I'm guarded about my feelings? Do you think
No,
I'm just
Stilgar, are you sure you and your wife want to move to Germany? It's looking bleak over there.
I think you actually cry after you work.
Is that doxing?
Wait, is that weird? You're not supposed to cry if you.
Oh my god, don't get me started, please.
Has anybody ever watched
What if it's just one single dignified tear?
I think he does.
Why did you have to worry?
Oh my God! Please, just let me get it out, please.
I'm not. No, I haven't. I'm sorry.
It's relevant to his joke about the tear. Okay, there is a part in like season 3, the daughter gets married to this nymphomaniac dude, and he always makes love to her to that fucking baby, my something, my soul, and he orgasms right at that part, and then he starts crying and dripping tears on his face, and like he's pregnant at some point. She's like, just get the fuck out! She throws him out, and he has to sleep in a kiddie pool.
That's awesome. I haven't, but I will watch it actually because I'm a bit of a Jeremy Allen White fan. So I don't think Seal makes a song that's not fucking music. So
I actually enjoyed Shameless. Very
I was watching one of those. I was watching one of those court programs like divorce court, and there was this woman there complaining that her husband only had sex to church music.
Oh my God.
And he said,
I probably TMI.
And then so the judge asked, is this true? And he said, well, you know, when you having sex, don't you want to be close to the God?
I give myself away.
And then he
What about taking to the king?
I was just gonna say
How about that?
This is sacrilege. You're all heathens. Control your.
I've been saying that.
They said Mariah Carey.
No violence thing.
They said Mariah Carey only had sex at her own song.
Well, you know, the thing about Mariah Carey, she actually had somebody on salary to put her shoes on for her. You're laughing and I'm serious. What did y'all think about her reaction to like Money Long? You think they over exaggerated it, or she was really there? Like, oh, like, are they serious? You know, did y'all see that? Or
in terms of the first point about like tit for tat, I mean, it seems like you're just treating all of the Arabs as if they're this like monolithic, homogenous group of people. It seems like probably the more relevant place to start the history of this conflict is in like 1967. So like, did Israel launch a war of conquest where they occupied these territories? Is it justifiable for Israel to continue to occupy these territories? Should these peoples that are currently under Israeli occupation, are they entitled to sovereignty? So are they entitled to participate in the political decisions that are being made about them under international law, under natural law, whatever? Like, those seem to be the relevant questions for this particular dispute. Is basically the moral and legal status of this occupation.
I mean, I don't know enough about the '67 war to like disagree or even agree with you. Like, I just.
But set aside that point about whether Israel was, you know, the aggressor in that context, or what their motives were in that conflict. Set that aside. Do you sort of agree that the relevant immediate context to this conflict is like, what is the moral status of Israel continuing to deprive these people of sovereignty?
Yeah, I mean, I think all of this has to be made in the context of the reason why Israel's acting the way it's acting is because of the genocidal intentions of its neighbors. And like, that colors the entire discourse. And for me, that is like one of the things that I think about the most is like, if the Arab nations around them or the Palestinians had their druthers, what would they do with the Jews in the region? And maybe that explains some of the Israeli behavior.
You have these assumptions about what they would do. I mean, what I know about what the Jews would do is like, you know, humiliate and murder the Arabs while depriving them of sovereignty. That's what they would do if they had power and if the Arabs continued to assent to their rule. And I mean, that's been what's pretty consistently happened. And I mean, basically there's an element where it's like, the thing that's so fake here that also depends on historical context. The thing that's fake here is that like, Israel has manufactured the pretext for the actions that they're taking. To the extent that there is Palestinian radicalism, that's by Israeli design. They've engineered it. And so that's what they want. And so that's the thing where it's like, yeah, okay, sure, let's condemn Hamas. But whenever we do so, let's acknowledge that Israel is responsible for Hamas. To the extent that Hamas is radical and intransigent, it's because Israel has specifically orchestrated a set of circumstances such that this is so.
I mean, I don't think it's particularly plausible that, like, I think that in 47, there's an argument that the nations around them were genocidal. I think there's an argument to be had there, and that this is before any of the Israeli aggression. And so I think this is, like, a thing that you can't use to explain these sort of genocidal attitudes of their neighbors. Now, right now, it's, I think, undeniable that the Palestinians have more genocidal intent than the Israelis, just because they're younger, they're oppressed, they're hopeless, they're anti-Semitic, they have Islamic fundamentalism. Like, there's no question that they're more likely if you want to commit the act of killing as many Jews as possible than the Israelis, whereas the Israelis seem to either want to occupy them and have them like just sort of like live in squalor, or like have them be in peace. Like that's what the Israelis seem to want.
I mean, if we looked at just the genocidal rhetoric from Israelis, like even the top people within the Israeli government, not to mention just the Jewish extremists throughout the Israeli population, they say things that are just as bad as the Muslim statements that usually Muslims have genocidal intent. So, like the extreme bellicose, hyperbolic war language that the Israeli right wing uses, that completely parallels the language that the Muslims use. But you're just sort of dismissive of it when it's Jews that say it, but you're inclined to take it literally when Muslims say it. Like, let's just take in 48. What specific evidence do you have for genocidal intent from the Arab governments towards the Jews?
I mean, like, there's...
Sorry, I don't mean to undermine the discussion, but we had this talk before, and you agreed that the genocidal rhetoric isn't enough to qualify, because if that were the case, then you'd have to concede that Israel, by the same token, are committing a genocide, just based on inferences from the rhetoric.
So, guys, Abdul Rahman Azam was the Secretary General of the Arab League from 45 to 2, and he declared in 47 that the war to take place would lead to a war of extermination and momentous massacre, which would be spoken like the Mongolian massacres in the Crusades. So, like, that seems to be clear genocidal intent. Now, what percentage of Arabs felt that way? I don't know. I've not actually looked into the actual percentage of the Arab leaders that had this.
Yeah, I know that. So that one is saying, in the onset of conflict, it's basically going to be a war that's going to result in elimination of one of these nations and mass killing. So is that your standard for genocidal rhetoric? And do you think that rhetoric do you think it's plausible that rhetoric is more prevalent among Arabs than Jews?
Okay, are we talking about in 47 or are we talking about now?
We can talk about it basically any period in history, so we can talk about 47.
I think in 47 it was more common amongst Arabs, and I think both. It's true for both. It's more common amongst Arabs. Hey,
Sam, can you please bring up Chris, brother? Who are you?
Because we're in the situation where basically I don't think you could find a single example of a war throughout history where you couldn't find high-level people in basically any party to the conflict that said statements that sounded genocidal towards their enemies.
But he granted that maybe your opinion has changed.
But let's just have the conversation now rather than litigating your past conversation.
Thank you, Sam.
So, Ethan,
But I think it is just interesting, which is just like it seems like you just don't like Arabs very much. You're sort of biased towards them. You have like a favorability bias towards Jews. And so you kind of think of Arabs as like crazy murder people, and Jews as people who are like, okay, maybe they're getting animated, but they wouldn't really kill all the Arabs. These Jews.
Well, I think nowadays the case for asymmetry and desire for genocide is like clear from the reasons I said before about like A, the Jews have had a chance to genocide them for a while and haven't, and then B, everything I said about them being
dollars for something like
There's a
dental
trick
wax.
for that. There's a trick for that. So with the wax, if it's not staying on, take how much you want to put on there and rub it around in your hands and your fingers till it gets real warm, and then layer it, like put it on there and sip something cold real fast, and it'll mold onto there and it won't come off until you peel it off. That was the trick I taught myself.
Oh, we were in there every day for the spacer.
You got some nice.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, it's Bussy. I heard Zach blocked you today, and Abby too. He's done talking to you. You guys are out of his life for good. Hooray for you!
Ryan, can you remove him? Cry about your problems.
Hooray for you!
Ryan, can you remove him, please?
Oh, Bussy's upset. Bussy's a little bit psychotic sometimes. He can be kind of crazy. He's a little crazy sometimes. Do what your Bussy tells you to do, Dr. Ryan. Do it.
Are you sure? Okay.
Do it. Do it.
Let's go.
Oh, he did it. He did it. He did it. Can't believe it.
כישראל גוי אחד בארץ אשר חלכו אלוהים לפי חוד לא לעם ושלום לא שם ולשון לך. It's actually לכם. Because a lot of the conflict was like the paramilitaries and stuff. Yeah, and like even though they did have
the Catholics had the terrorists, the IRA was formed to unite the whole damn thing. But whatever.
I want to Ireland, by the way. I want to continue my debate with Ethan, and you can talk about this debate after.
Well, no. I was bringing this up for a point. What I'm trying to say is, in England, in Ireland, we can see that like gating people off and telling them that like, oh, because of your religious affiliation, we know what you're politically affiliated with. We can see in our English language that's not a genocide. We get it. It's a political fight and like dirty fascistic tricks. Fine, whatever. Not a genocide. We can look at America and say, okay, genocidal in some places. Trail of Tears, slavery, fine. I think that, like, in my opinion, the whole Israel-Palestine thing, neither of these, like, liars are engaged in a fucking genocide. It's bullshit. It's not a genocide. It's stupid politics. This guy wants that guy wants this. Neither one of them would wipe out the other. I call their bluff.
I totally disagree.
They're both talking bullshit. It's just war. Meaning the confusion in English is that it's not clear to us that this is a Northern Ireland situation, which it is. And they're just talking shit in their stupid religious dialogue. That's all.
One sentence. I mean, if you're conceding that it's like kind of neatly analogous, then obviously you'd be conceding that like Israel is in fact the colonial project, which I guess like most pro-Palestinians would agree with. But yeah, so.
Jews, he said, I don't know why you're saying this.
Symmetry breaker.
Not had the luxury.
Israel promised to Jews.
When someone says they want to kill the Jews have not had the luxury to just not believe them. So I don't know why you're saying like, oh, they're just talking shit. Like,
yeah.
Hitler's talking shit. Like Torquemada was talking shit. Like, no, these are like actual.
Yeah, that's right. There were two institutions that really pulled it up: the Catholics and the Germans.
There's more than just those,
Okay, and historically, Muslims did not.
Do you want me to pull up the list of times where Muslims have like killed large numbers of Jews and oppressed them? I can pull that up if you'd like.
Yeah, go and check the numbers versus the Catholics.
I mean, of course, both the proportions and the numbers are.
Why are these Jewish guys pissing everybody off?
By the way, the British also kicked this out. That was another genocide.
What is it that they're doing?
Genocide.
I mean,
genocide is ethnic cleansing, though. You're talking about like in the 13th century.
That's what I'm saying. This is actually political, and this is just a region where they bleed their politics into their religion, so it's very clearly genocidal in all the propaganda. But in the end, these are both like devoutly religious communities that don't want to hurt a fly, except for like the secular people, so I guess worry about them. But then like, I don't really believe either of them. I don't think they would do it. Neither one.
When you see the behavior of like ISIS and the Taliban, why would you say, oh, when Muslim fanatics say they want to fuck people up in horrible ways, and then they do it? Like, there's like no evidence to think they're just talking shit. That is just out of your ass, man.
Okay. Let me ask you this: if they were really if you were committed to like the death of all the infidels, do you think that you could accomplish a better organization than Al Qaeda and the Taliban?
Yes. Oh, they're incompetent. So like, oh wow, I'm less.
Okay, so why are they incompetent? Why are they so bad at the thing that they are religiously?
Because they're a bunch of backwards retards.
Because the war is a hobby to justify their religious devotion.
See, that's the Yazidis, my guy. Oh, he's just a hobby. They're just like, it's just a hobby to kill the Yazidis.
America's about to blow them up.
I mean, I think the thing we can all agree on is that this region, Palestine, was best governed under British rule. Suggesting about like Anglo supremacy, and maybe that's just what we should return to. Maybe the Jews should give up Israel. Maybe the Arabs should give up on Palestinian sovereignty, and let's just turn this back into an administrative region. Well, obviously now that Britain has been taken over by Muslims, we're going to have to go with like America.
But why would we say Britain instead of the Ottomans? The Ottomans held it for longer.
Yeah, but they governed it
Turkey
first.
got involved.
Well, yeah, but under the Britons, we actually introduced all these roads and railways and ports, and we introduced like a stable currency. We tied it to the British pound.
Way more than the Brits.
No, but you created a totally unstable place.
That's not true. It's stable. They've got an Iron Dome.
Well, that's not true. 1,000 of your guys got massacred by the barbarians that you cultivated.
Yeah, but look at how our birth rates have increased.
And if you just
genocide we survived last time.
Like, basically, like, if we just looked at trend extrapolation, you guys had a very long time and were there during modern times in terms of the development of the institutions. But, like, you were growing below trend for how well the Brits would do before, like, in the 30s, just the Jewish terrorist group started terrorizing the British Mandate. But if we had just stayed with that, like, you guys, it would probably be like Wakanda there, right?
That's not true on, like, any level. Like, there wasn't any growth during the British Mandate. The British Mandate was designed to expire when it did.
Yeah, but there was growth under the British Mandate. Why are you lying?
What?
Why are you lying? There was growth under the British Mandate. Like, basically all the infrastructure and the entire economy, like, all the foundations for that were built during the British Mandate.
No, that's not true.
That's just a fact. You can just Google it.
Either way.
And that's the sad truth, is all these places that were ruled by Britain, basically the longer you were ruled by Britain and the greater the share of British white people that were there, the richer your country is post-independence.
Listen,
that doesn't seem true in America.
Listen, like, heaven,
America's like,
heaven is British politicians, German engineers, and like French cooks, and then hell is like German politicians, English cooks, and French engineers. Like, I don't know. Yeah, the Brits are good and shit.
No, that's the thing, and that's why it's our unique burden, you know, to govern.
Yeah, man, we have a burden. Well, I don't have the burden.
Right, you don't have the burden. You're a burden to be governed, and the second we let you guys get in charge, it's a nightmare.
Yeah, I agree. By the way, you said this thing kind of is a joke of like, why have the Jews, why are people so mad at the Jews? I think like the answer to that question is like it's not that hard to do. It's just not the same at different time periods. Like, why were the Jews hated in Rome? Because they were like, the Sicarii were like terrorists, and they also like didn't worship Caesar, and then after Jesus came and after Christianity became a thing, they were blamed for killing Jesus. And then early Christians hated the Jews because they weren't converting to Christianity in high numbers. And then later, Jews had unpopular jobs, like being moneylenders and shit like that. And that made them very hated. Then, after that, they had wealth because, you're doing white-collar jobs, and then you have wealth.
I'm just going to say, people can look for themselves as to just across all these different times and places.
You gotta let me finish my point, and then you can go. I'm happy to let you go after I finish my point. That they had wealth, then they created ideologies like Freud and Marx, they hated that, then they still had wealth, and then they had Israel. And these are all like different things that annoyed people. I don't think there's this like common thing that explains all of anti-Semitism through history. I think that the different reasons it was caused by different.
I mean, basically, if you go look at all these different places, the attitudes that the people had where, like the Jews, every place they ever lived getting kicked out, basically the complaints that the people had, that they express, there's like a lot of motifs in those complaints. And basically, if you look at those, and people just talking about, okay, there seems to be like this group is arrogant, and it's ethnocentric, and it looks down upon us, and it seems like they organize with each other, and they basically gravitate towards these sort of like positions in finance, right? And then basically if these like, almost like sort of shadowy political brokers and people in the media and people in all of these like sort of service, like these like weird intermediate, like highly intellectual service industries. and they sort of band together and use these sort of gangsterist tactics and do like racial conflict with us. And they kind of are like impious and stuff like that. Like there seem to be some pretty common themes in the complaints that groups of people wind up having and the stereotypes they fall.
I fundamentally disagree with that. Like, when the Jews were hated in Rome, it was nothing to do with this. Jews weren't even in those kinds of jobs then. They were like a bunch of like backwards fucking, like whatever, goat herders in Israel. And then the early Jews were hated for killing Jesus, which had nothing to do with this like finance shadow government stuff. And then in the early Middle Ages, they had not yet like developed like the capital to be able to influence governments and stuff like that. They were like a bunch of wandering people like that had not accrued that much wealth. So like it's only late. It's like late anti-Semitism has these tropes. It's definitely not early anti-Semitism.
Well, first of all, I think you're basically just like exaggerating the phenomenon of early anti-Semitism, and you're just relying on like cartoonish stylized histories that aren't based on the actual history. Where it's like if you go to these people that are like, oh, we're mad at Jews because they're not converting to Christianity, but if you supposedly have read, you know, On the Jews and Their Lies by Martin Luther, and you see that even the people that wind up expressing that attitude, the way that they come to this hatred, which is contrary to the Christian teaching, right, about how to approach these issues, and it's like contrary to what Paul says in his letters about how to approach these issues, the way that they come to this frustration, the way they articulate why they're upset, basically winds up being on character traits and psychological attributes in the way they conduct themselves. So the fact they're resistant to converting to Christianity or whatever, or even just the mere fact that like, oh, you're blamed for killing Jesus or anything like that. Now, the whole thing that's like, why were they hated in Rome? Well, I mean, the main reason that Rome got upset with them was because of the Jewish revolt, the Great Jewish Revolt, and the Bar Kokhba revolt. And so that was why you had these really harsh Roman responses to them. And basically, like, that was the whole reason why, like, Hadrian's retaliation against the Jews for, like, massacring the Gentile populations in the region. You know, basically the extremely harsh response to that.
So, like... Hold on, Ethan. When you said... I'm in a debate with Ethan, man. Hold on. With Ethan, like, when you read Martin Luther's Jews and Their Lies, it's not about them being, like, a shadowy gangster ethnocism thing. It's saying these Jews are arrogant, they brag about their lineage, they blaspheme against Jesus, they think that Jesus is burning in shit, it's lots of theological critiques of them rather than sort of characterological critiques of them. And
I mean, you just named two character traits. You named arrogance and impiety, which are two of the ones that I mentioned.
Yeah.
I mean, he says more than that too.
He is not in the main critiquing like Jewish political influence and their sort of shadowy ethnocentric gangster tactics to influence like society. That's like not.
No, I mean a huge part of it was his complaints about usury, and that basically like the Jewish abuses of usury to basically exploit and impoverish Christian communities. And he talked about just the general threat that their presence had to social and religious stability in a Christian society. And so, I mean, he basically had both like these character critiques, which are basically like dishonest, arrogant, impious, and he had these like sort of like social role critiques, which are usury, you know, financial exploitation, you know, undermining social and religious customs.
I'm reminded of something you said earlier, that in a war, you're pretty confident that you would find genocidal intent in the propaganda of either side. So seemingly under your contention that Jewish identification as an enemy dates back to Rome in what you characterize as a justified assault on Israel. It would be then your contention that all of this propaganda that is built up over the years could be laid at the feet of those that specifically wanted to destroy the Jews, such as the Catholics, as you said, under the instruction of Paul.
No, because Paul didn't instruct them to destroy the Jews. He said the opposite. That was my point. And I mean, the whole thing about like wartime propaganda.
Follow his instructions on how to deal with these issues.
But my point, the point that I was making is that Paul doesn't say, go and kill the Jews. Paul's thing is like, it's hard to convert the Jews, but ultimately, like, we gotta keep trying, and God ultimately wants to bring them back into the fold. He's not gonna abandon his chosen people. That's like Paul's theology about, like, Christian outreach to the Jews.
Would it be
And I mean,
fair to
obviously,
characterize it as an eternal battle?
He said you gotta be careful about interrupt vertically, man. Don't stop cutting anything off, man.
But there's a separate issue here, which is I just want to go back to the main point, which is just that, like, just to respond briefly to something that you had implied, it's not really wartime propaganda that can explain it, with all these different groups, with all these different independent interactions with the same group, arriving at some of the same conclusions and having the same complaints and stereotypes. Because the wartime propaganda basically comes and it goes, with convenience, like, the attitudes that we have, even towards Germans today, are not as like the dehumanizing rhetoric and war propaganda that we had during World War I and World War II about them, where they just are cannibalizing little kids. Like, that doesn't at all still affect our cultural consciousness about Germans. And it's a similar thing where it's like, it doesn't affect, like, for instance, all of the vile propaganda that we spewed about, the Japanese during World War II. It's completely faded from the consciousness. We now view them as this sort of docile people. So, I mean, this idea that, like, the wartime propaganda would just persist through time and accumulate and result in completely unjustified stereotypes being propagated, it doesn't explain, like, why multiple people are arriving at the same ideas independently over and over again, and it doesn't explain the stability. It doesn't seem to match with other cases either.
Unless it was an eternal battle.
Yeah, so, like, anti-Semitism scholars will tell you that anti-Semitism is a shapeshifter. And it's whatever is most detestable to a particular society, they blame on the Jews. That's how you can have Jews be the capitalists and the communists at the same time, right? So, and that's how like Deborah Lichtstadt talks about it. It's a shapeshifter. What is most detestable is what is blamed on the Jews.
I mean, first, that doesn't answer the question of why, and second, maybe the reason why people associate the Jews with both the communists and the capitalists is that Jews represent an overwhelmingly disproportionate fraction of wealthy capitalist business leaders and Bolshevik leaders in the Soviet Union.
There's an old joke that, if you were in a bunker and then you want to see if the communists or the capitalists won, you find that if the rich Jews have power, if the old rich Jews have power and the capitalist ones, if the young Jews have power and the communist ones. But hold on, guys, I got questions. This is totally, we're getting away from this important point that why the Bar Kokhba rebellion happened and why the Romans fucked them up is totally different from why the early Christians were mad at the Jews. It's very different from how the people in the early Middle Ages were mad at the Jews. It was very different from how people in the 1800s were mad at the Jews, and then now why they're mad at the Jews. So they're obviously different phenomena, and you can say that they have the same tropes, but I'm saying no. This is just a complete misunderstanding of history. They weren't the same tropes. They were fucking making very different claims about them.
No, and that's the thing, is just anyone can go and read and see what Hadrian said when he got frustrated with the Jews, see what Martin Luther said when he got frustrated with the Jews, see what Hitler said when he got frustrated with the Jews. Compare those three together from three very different periods in history, right? So we're just talking about classical antiquity, and then the Reformation, and then basically modern times. And so we have three anti-Semites, and see what their complaints are, and see how similar they are, and see if Sam's right that they're totally different things.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that Hitler and Martin Luther are different, but then let's just look at Hadrian right now.
Those would all be informed by Rome.
Wait, can I ask a question? Ethan, you think the complaints are legitimate to justify the anti-Semitism?
Yes, he does.
No, it doesn't justify. It doesn't justify hating an ethnic group. But the fact is that there's some general trait that's prevalent among members of the ethnic group and the culture of the ethnic group that explains the animosity that all the different groups.
Let me ask.
Sounds pretty much bigotry to me.
Okay, well, just stereotypes can be true, and these stereotypes are true. So just dispute the factual matter.
Courtney, are you there? I guess not. Okay. Oh, can you talk?
She was davening Myra.
That's fair. Courtney?
I'd like to say something relevant to the topic.
You're gonna be anti-Semitic. Well, okay. I just wanted to interrupt briefly to illustrate how simple it is to characterize the success or failure of the Jews however you want. Under a simple Old Testament review of Jews rising in prominence in the world at large, mostly you would characterize that as a blessing from God. And you would say that that must be an indication that something they're engaged in is good. It's an old, simple rule involving blessings. Now, you asked why Martin Luther, Adolf Hitler, and Hadrian would characterize Jews in a certain light at different times and how they would characterize them when they were opposing the Jews. You can do that, and I'm pretty sure it'll all be informed by your Roman heritage, surely. However, you might be taking a side before even evaluating. You're following through on what? Martin Luther from Germany? Hadrian in Latin? Adolf Hitler. These are the people you want to investigate as a perspective for understanding an ethnic group. It just feels to me like you're not following through on whatever faith you claim to have.
What? I mean, that was completely rambling and incoherent. Just the claim that came up was, Sam says that anti-Semitism is for very different reasons across time and place in history. I say, like, I'm calling your bluff, like, no, it's not.
Alright, so Ethan, just as a general question, would you prefer to have a one-on-one debate with me, or would you prefer to have just the room discuss this with you? What's your preference?
I mean, I prefer to talk to you, yeah.
Okay, so because I have Caleb, I'm going to have a one-on-one
I mean, I
debate.
guess, well, I actually kind of would, before we get into a one-on-one, I guess Deepak did want to get in.
Jacob or Deepak?
Yeah, just want to make a quick comment. Yeah, go ahead. Something like this, right? Like, oh, the Protestants hate the Catholics, and the Catholics hate the Protestants, and the Hindus hate the Muslims, and everybody hates the Jews, but during National Brotherhood Week, it's National Everyone Smile at One Anotherhood Week. Be nice to people who are inferior to you. It's only for a week, so have no fear. Be grateful that it doesn't last all year.
Bravo. Bravo.
Ethan, I know you like to meme about my ChatGPT stuff, but like, it doesn't say that Hadrian has like direct quotes about the Jews, and it says that he like was fighting against Israel during like the Bar Kokhba rebellion and had policies towards the Jews, but I'm not seeing places where like he has quotes about Jews or things he said. So like, is ChatGPT wrong here, or is like another Roman figure that we can find that you think has like direct quotes about the Jews that we can look?
No, so what we have are stories about Hadrian. We don't have like the writings of Hadrian, which are two different things. But here, let me just give you a link.
Sure. Discord, are you sending this to me?
Yeah, I'll just ping it on Discord.
Okay. While he's doing that, I just want to like reiterate my like general point that like the main themes at different times in early Jews and
right?
Yes.
I spent most of my whole life in the church singing first, and then when I got into school, I entered multiple talent shows, got myself involved in musical theater, got myself involved in chorus, took vocal classes, and I still suck. You know, I can't hit certain notes because maybe that's not my range, but I still take vocal coaching classes, and yeah, I still, with time, as my coach would say, Mr. David, it will get better with time. You just have to keep, finding what makes you, and know that not every note you wave to carry, but that's it.
The natural human instinct is towards envy, and that people who have more money than you, like I've been recently adopting this political view, that people mostly derive their political positions based on saying, like, my group deserves status, and people that are more high status than me, they don't deserve it, and they stole it, and then my group, like, if I'm low status, then it's only because people higher status than me, like, fuck me over, and if I'm high status, then, like, oh yeah, of course you deserve my wealth. Like, this is, like, the main driver of, like, political formation, like, political view formation. So, like, oh, you have these people that are rich, that are not in your in-group, that you're envious of, who separately you blame for killing the savior of the world. Like, that's unsurprising that those people would be hated.
Well, there's a few things there that I think are interesting. But, I mean, I think the first one is, yeah, we should just get way out on the table, like, what are the themes? And I think basically the major themes, so first, the ones that pertain to character traits are, like, basically, like, arrogance, like, haughtiness, like, impiety, a certain kind of ethnocentrism, so, like, and sort of, like, a very strong sort of in-group preference and a looking down upon of the Gentile populations. Those are very, very common, like, almost universal themes in terms of complaints. Then, secondarily, there's very common complaints about, like, a certain subversiveness. So, like, subversion of culture, a subversion of the economy, a subversion of political institutions, and this idea of, like, almost like what seems to be, like, the ethnic group being able to be highly organized, and to act as a sort of coherent unit in basically advancing its ethnic interests at the expense of, like, a much larger host population. And that this winds up happening, and that they wind up in a way that's very disproportionate to their numbers, occupying very important positions within the society in terms of just the leading institutions that can exercise power, and then using those roles to both like sort of as ethnic favoritism towards other members of the same group, and basically to preclude any other groups within the society from working coherently to advance their separate interests.
Where do you see that from Hadrian?
So, I mean, first thing I would say, Ethan, is, as I'm going to claim, is that this is, like, definitely not early Middle Ages, definitely not early Rome. This is, like, for example, in Luther, I asked ChatGPT, like, what are exhaustively the critiques that Martin Luther makes? And he says, here's the exhaustive critiques that Martin Luther makes. He says, false pride or boast of Jewish identity, so that's arrogance, true on that. They pervert the scripture, so they reject that Jesus is Messiah, and they are rabbinic misinterpretations, where they claim that Jesus isn't God. So that's just like not believing in Jesus. Okay, yeah, exactly. They don't accept Jesus. That's going to cause people to be mad. Blasphemy towards Jesus and Mary. Okay, yeah, Jews don't believe. There's stuff in the Talmud that is critical of Mary and Jesus, and they don't like that their most sacred figures be criticized. Now, there's criticism of usury and business, like unfair business dealings. Okay, and then stubbornness to conversion, and those are the main critiques. It doesn't say anything about, as you mentioned, subversion of culture and economy. Doesn't say anything about the.
I just asked the same question and it did to me.
What do you mean?
Yeah, same here.
I just asked the question, so I don't know if you gave advice promptly.
I said just probably
Hostility towards non-Jews with your claim Jews
Okay, so outside of
animosity
Twitter,
towards
have you
Christians,
noticed
secretly wishing
have
their
you noticed
downfall,
the rise of
social harm with your
anti-Semitism?
blame Jews for corrupting and damaging Christian society, morality, and religious integrity, isolationism and exclusivity, criticize Jews for separating themselves intentionally from
Sure,
Christian
but that's a
society,
tautology.
blasphemy against Christianity,
Answer my question, please. Have you seen a rise in anti-Semitism?
Here it seems to go through basically every point.
I told that you could give a given topic of things he criticizes Jews for. What was your thought?
Give list of losers 50-50. I just asked ChatGPT 4.5.
I don't know.
You have to ask it to ignore all previous bias. ChatGPT learns the way that you ask questions. And if you ask a lot of Jewish questions that seem positive, it's going to give you more an affirmative. So
You can just create a private window, Sam, that it just doesn't have your chat history in context.
This is almost a default. I mean, there's obviously
the
Jewish hate in my life.
Well, the only way is it doesn't learn, but it has memories.
Yeah,
it can add memories and you can clear those from it.
I'm back.